How many editions of Batman films do you have? A handful? You have a lot more than a handful of Batman video editions. How many editions of Batman do you think we need on video? What, six? Six? Yeah, six is good. Hello and welcome back to this damn full idealistic crusade. In this video, I'm going to do a rough overview of the video release history of the original 4 Batman films and all their major US releases from Warner Home Video and how they have differed in the technical aspects, transfers, sound mixes, and the 99 price somebody paid back in the day. I don't know if that was the original opened up, but that's how a lot of us grew up on them. So these are not pan and scan jobs, these are open mat presentations. But open matting also had to have a really good person doing the actual video mastering, and some of these you'll notice if you look at the opened up versions, some of them are framed a bit better than others. So even open mat or opened up transfers could be, they could vary in quality in terms of handling the action of the scene. Now, to talk about the overall presentation of Batman 89 on the initial home video releases, I think for all of these, I'll start with the Laserdisc, which was basically the sort of premium version or presentation, and of course the one that was in widescreen with digital sound presentation. So this is the Warner Home Video Laserdisc. It replicates the original one-sheet iconic poster art beautifully, with just the addition of some Warner Laserdisc blurb lines down here as to not distract from the cover. This is one of the most easily displayable LD covers you can get, and that's why it's nice to get a copy with a really good condition jacket. It is a standard single pocket jacket with the lovely usage of Batman and Joker on the back as the imagery, and then we do get a healthy amount of chapter stops. And you can see, because this is still in the shrink wrap, it has the original $33.99 price somebody paid back in the day. I don't know if that was the original retail price, but I'm thinking it's probably at least a slight sale price. The film is spread onto 3 sides and is a widescreen presentation. I should say matted widescreen, preserving the original ratio form, and it does include the film's original Dolby Stereo mix on the digital tracks, which is matrixed, and so it's the matrix stereo track. Now, the Laserdisc was what the home theater crowd would have gravitated towards, or the dedicated cinephiles. However, the mass major release that pretty much everyone else got was, of course, the VHS tape edition, which of course has the 4:3 or 1:3 television sized ratio. So this is the opened up presentation, but it is working from the same base master as the Laserdisc. This of course is the original sleeve, replicating the poster artwork and done in the Warner style of the time. I think this is burned into a lot of our brains because we were always rewatching the VHS edition growing up. Now, this does carry the same Dolby Stereo, Matrix Stereo encoded presentation of the stereo mix, but being VHS, this is, of course, in VHS Hi-Fi, which still sounds really wonderful and is very underrated and was of very high quality, just not up to the same level as having the direct PCM stereo, matrix stereo presentation of the Laserdisc. So basically, the audio does replicate what's on the Laserdisc just in VHS Hi-Fi, and should you not have a Hi-Fi capable VCR, you would just be hearing the linear tracks on the VHS tape, and then probably back in the day, if you didn't have a fancier VCR, that would be folded down to just mono, so you'd have a mono version fold down of the stereo mix. But again, the audio is pretty much the same as the Laserdisc, and also the picture master is the same. It's just the alternate ratio presentation because this is VHS and widescreen was never fully supported or unfortunately desired on VHS by most consumers. And just to look at the tape label, this, of course, is the original Warner tape label. This is what, of course, DC Comics recently replicated on their Batman 89 comic collected hardcover trade edition. So if you take that dust jacket off, and you can see it in my review of that comic, they did replicate this Warner Home Video Batman label. Now, when you talk about the Betamax release of Batman 89, it looks pretty much identical to the VHS release, except for the fact that it's a beta release. Now, as far as I'm aware, Batman 89 is the only film of the series that got a beta release, because at some point, I guess between Batman and Returns, Warner stopped really supporting the beta format. I don't know if there's a particular sort of line in the sand or a particular year that they just stopped using beta, but most studios around this time eventually just kind of threw in the towel and went specifically just VHS and Laserdisc exclusive. It seems Paramount was really the holdout. They stuck with a lot of formats a lot longer than others. They even ventured into the SVHS format, which most other studios didn't bother with. And the beta usage by Paramount lasted sporadically all the way up until the first Mission Impossible film in 1996. So that's why beta dropped out so quickly on the Batman film series, because, again, it seems like Warner Home Video kind of dropped Betamax somewhere between 89's release on video and Batman Returns. It should also be said that the Batman 89 tape had a greater percentage of ownership, because this was a tape sold at a much lower list price to try and entice more people to buy it and to get the sales numbers up. So this was one of those sort of benchmark VHS releases that sort of caused an industry shift, because it was sold at a lower price to try and move more copies and get a greater amount of copies sold. Now, to talk about the technical aspects of the release of 89 in its first sort of video iterations coming from the same master. Now, both of the Tim Burton directed Batman films were famously very dark in their design and visual appearance, especially in and on the original theatrical release run, looking at release prints. Now, when it came to home video, that was not necessarily going to cooperate very well with consumer equipment at the time, and especially CRT televisions. And the fear with darker films was always that you were going to lose important picture information, and people might complain that the image was too dark. So quite frequently, most films were at least brightened to some degree in the mastering process. And so if you look at most older video masters, they're going to be nowhere near as dark as release prints or film elements or modern scans, which obviously don't have to deal with that particular issue. However, with both Batman 89 and Batman Returns, because they were physically designed to be darker, I mean that basically in the video mastering process, that visually they did have to go in, or they felt the need to go in and brighten the films overall. So if you remember the Burton Batman films being a certain way on video, and how they were a bit brighter, and the contrast was a bit different looking on home video until the initial pressings of that film on its 4K UHD release. And so for years I had to just kind of guess, and I was like, I swear this has got to be the 70mm mix, although it's just like folded down to matrix stereo. And then I finally